Good evening. Thank you guys for being here tonight. We'll go ahead and call this work session to order. I think I'm going to do the prayer tonight, and I'm going to ask Commissioner Cowan if he would lead us in our pledge. Let us pray. Father, we thank you for today, God. We thank you for allowing us to be here. Lord, thank you for just letting us be in a community that we love and that we can call home. God, we ask you to bless right now. Bless everyone that's here tonight and their families, God. In your Son, Jesus' name, we pray. Amen. Our work session tonight will be discussing the Yellow River Trail. I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Kerr.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Part of the one of the projects on the 2017 SPLOST was to do a portion of the Yellow River Trail. And so that's really what this is about, is to show you a master plan that has been developed and to show you what portion of that trail that we'll be able to do with $1 million that was budgeted for that trail, and most importantly, to show you all of the connections that this trail will have and for the future. Jeff Prine, who is our project manager, is here to present this update to you, and this is being done in conjunction, of course, with Dwayne Mask, our Parks and Rec director, and Los Design has been working as well with us on this. And with that, I'll turn this over to Jeff.
Thank you, sir. Good evening. We are very pleased to be able to bring this master plan back to you tonight. I would be at a loss if I didn't recognize the members of the committee that worked with us on that. Obviously, as Lloyd has said, Dwayne Mask has been representing the Parks and Recreation Department, and Chester has been representing the Public Works and Transportation Departments. From the Newton Trails, we've had Deborah Griffith, Dwayne Ford, Greg Richardson, and Lowell Chambers. And then Los Design has been our consultant. The goal of tonight is to give you an overview of the overall master plan for the trail system itself. What we wanted to work on was a system that would allow us to use the Yellow River kind of as a major pathway, and then have branches or routes off of that would reach out to touch other elements within the community, be it neighborhoods, parks, and our neighbors with Rockdale County. And so we'll walk you through that tonight. Uh-oh. It's the arrow, right? Oh, here we go. Just takes a second. So basically, the area that you see in the red there is the area that we studied. It encompassed the cities of Porterdale, Covington, and also Oxford. And we are coordinating this particular master plan and the routes with their trail plans as well. Yeah, I think so. Oh, well, there we go. Just takes a second. This is the actual key map that shows you the whole area that we've been working on. We broke this down into what we call routes for giving us a breakdown of areas, and I'll walk you through each of those tonight as well. One of the things that we're also making sure we do as part of this master plan is work on cost. So our cost considerations are based upon looking at trail at grade, which is light duty and heavy duty, boardwalks where we have to cross over areas, sensitive environmental areas, bridges, major trailheads, minor trailheads, and what we call waysides. Los has done this type of work throughout the Southeast, so we worked with them to come up with their database of costs that we would use, and we compared that with some of the costs that we've been doing over the last few years, inflated it, and these are the kind of linear numbers that we use per linear feet to come up with some of these numbers. And you can see the different ones there, boardwalks, bridges. Major trailheads. Major trailheads includes not only parking, but it also has a restroom, a trail kiosk, signage, and landscape improvements. A minor trailhead is similar, just smaller, and it doesn't have a restroom facility. Wayside is just basically a lookover, where you look out, looking over a very specific piece of environmental that we want to look at, or also where we're connecting different routes. We also, like I said earlier, wanted to pay attention to Rockdale and their master plan. Ultimately, one of the goals of the committee was to make sure that we could reach and tie into the trail system that Rockdale is doing, which is also tying into what they call PATH, which would connect you all the way over to the Beltline. So once we had completed that, we'd actually have a route that would allow us to go from Newton County all the way over into the Beltline, into the metro area, which is pretty special. We also wanted to reach up and grab and touch the Georgia International Horse Park as well. So the first route that we will talk, and we're going to be working north to south, was what we call the Georgia International Horse Park to Mount Tabor Road. As you can see, this one particularly runs directly north and south on the west side of the actual river. We have a major trailhead located at the intersection of the Rockdale County, right where we would want them to connect to us and the International Horse Park itself. And then we have two waysides along the way. One of them is basically at the Mount Tabor Road intersection. This one has a trail. The trail at grade, it has about 12,000 linear feet of light grading. It has boardwalks, a major trailhead, and two waysides. And our estimated cost for it is just over $2.8 million. The next route is what we call the railroad wayside to the sports complex. This basically parallels the existing railroad that's running east-west just north of I-20. And it ends at a major trailhead at that future park property that is being developed adjacent to Rockdale County in their passive park that they've got going there. It has a trail at grade and has one major trailhead, and that's estimated to be about just over $2.6 million to develop. Oops. The next one is Wayside Node to Richardson Street. So this is connecting from that same major route up and down the river, just right at Gum Creek, and then going around that property that is currently owned where you have the quarry. We're just following around that particular property and then connecting over to Hull Street, and then eventually over to the Emory campus as well. Basically trail at grade, boardwalks, two waysides, and that one has a bridge because we're having to cross over from the west side to the east side of the Yellow River Trail. It's a fairly lengthy route, so that's why it's almost $5 million estimated. The other thing that we wanted to do was be mindful that some of the developers in the community are being very mindful of the environment and wanting to design into their developments different types of green areas and also trails and connections to trails. This is the Oaks Master Plan, which is just to the north in the city of Porterdale. And as you can see in their development, they have along the river set aside areas of green space. And our desire would be to work with any of these developers to get easements granted over to us and also allow them to connect their communities over to the trail system itself. So then in that particular area, you see the railroad wayside to Brown Bridge Road. So this would be connecting from just north of I-20 there at the railroad wayside, coming south underneath I-20, that trailhead you see located there is the Denny Dobbs property, and I believe the Denny Dobbs development has been before you or is coming before you. That's that property that he's wishing to potentially donate to the actual to Newton County and to do some development that would be playing into our future master plan of the actual trail system itself. And then it continues on down, and then it goes across and through the Oaks development right before it gets to Browns Bridge Road. Chester and Public Works are already got in the planning the widening of Browns Bridge itself to allow us to have a crossover from the west to the east side of the river itself, and that would be a kayak launch located on the east side of the river at that Wayside. That's estimated to be just under $6 million, about $5.9 million, and that includes the trail on grade, the boardwalks, major trailheads, and waysides. The next one was a spur connection over to Fairview Road and that community. We wanted to make sure that we had an opportunity to reach over to that side of our community. And so this is a spur connection that would reach over from just where that development we talked about on the Denny Dobbs potential development property over to Fairview Road. And that's estimated to be around $917,000. Then we continue down south on Browns Bridge Road. From Browns Bridge Road to the trail system located there at the city of Porterdale. That's estimated to be around $4 million. It has trail on grade. It has both light and heavy duty. It has boardwalks. In that northern segment of it, that landowner has actually gone out and developed some ponds on his property. It's a very beautiful piece of area. So we would have to do some boardwalks through that area to be able to work through it. And then we would actually, the last bit of that leg coming up into the city of Porterdale would be a pretty good climb to get up, but it would be a very interesting one as well. That's estimated to be around $4 million. Then we'd have a spur connection to the Cricket Frog Trail. This would be our connection that would connect us from the Yellow River Trail over to the current location of the Cricket Frog Trail, and that also would connect us to Turner Park, Turner Road Park as well. That particular connection is estimated around $986,000. The next development that we wanted to pay attention to was the Cedar Shoals Master Plan, which is just on the southern edge of and inside the city limits of Porterdale. They, like the Oaks, have in their plan development trail systems that would connect over to the river, and they also even show a kayak launch on the very southern edge of their development that we would pay attention to and work that into our plan as well. If you look there, that yellow piece of property that you can see right there is the actual Cedar Shoals development. And that little red dot at the very bottom is that kayak launch that they're talking about. So the Yellow River Park to Cedar Shoals is the more urban development of our parks that would start in Yellow River Park inside the city of Porterdale, and then follow around the top edge of that property at the ridge, and then connect back over to right there at Highway 81. That particular one, I don't know why it keeps moving. Go back, here we go. That one has significant amount of light grading, heavy grading, has a trailhead, minor trailhead, and then also eventually has a park overlook. If you look just to the west of the park, there's a little island right there where we show that overlook. So the intentions would be to actually connect over there, have a bridge, and let that island be kind of a very special overlook area as well. That's estimated about $2.1 million. Like I said at the beginning of the presentation, we wanted to pay specific attention to our neighbors and what they were doing in their master plans. So we have coordinated with the city of Covington, which is this is the Covington Walks Master Plan, to make sure that we're connecting and developing this network of trail systems. As we move, now we also wanted to connect over to the eastern side of our community. So this is what we call Brown Bridge Road to Hull Street. It's a fairly lengthy one, and it goes primarily through the city of Covington. And we actually, years ago, and I don't know if many of you knew about this, when they built I-20, they built a tunnel for some purposes. It's been nicknamed the Cow Tunnel, so I don't know if it was meant for cattle or not, but there's actually a tunnel that actually goes under I-20. And we're going to use that to our benefit as a way to connect from the southern part of our community on the eastern side to the northern part as well. So this particular one, leg, connects into the city. It ties into the CID along 278 that the city is working on as well, goes over to what we call the Cow Tunnel, goes under, and then back over to Hull Street there in the city of Oxford. And that one's estimated to be about $5 million. A lot of urban development associated with that leg. And then this is another leg tying in the Cow Tunnel and going up and really going north and south on Indian Creek from the Cow Tunnel to Hull Street over to City Pond Park, and then also the Covington Town Center development that's there as well. And that's estimated at about $4.5 million. We have an alternate that we put into our plan also of how we could connect over from the Cow Tunnel directly to City Pond Park as well, instead of going up and around. And that's estimated at about 3.5. So the total cost estimate for this master plan is roughly a little over 37, just under $38 million in today's dollars. That does not include, obviously, land acquisition or easement acquisition, because it's very difficult to know what all that would be. That's just construction cost. Now, obviously, that's if we put everything out for bid. This trail system group has a very good history of using a lot of manpower, local manpower, and also the Public Works Department in helping to do some of this work. But the other thing that this master plan does for the community, Newton County, and also the trail systems itself is it gives them a master plan to go out and seek other funding sources, federal grants and state grants and other kind of grants that are out there. Now, let's talk about what we would recommend as our phase one. So as Lloyd said, we have roughly about $1 million total in our budget for this particular project. So working with the committee, we've kind of narrowed down a recommendation of where we would like to start, and this is something that we think we can do within our current budget. So the phase one that we're proposing would actually start at the Yellow River Park and circle around and connect over to the other end of the city of Porterdale. While that's estimated at about $942,000, that's if we put it out for bid. What we would like to do, and Chester is agreed, if allowed, is to basically build that with Public Works forces and work that into their schedule. Some pros to that is this particular leg can be done at asphalt. It doesn't have to be concrete because it's not in a low-lying area. And it's really just two landowners there. You've got the city that owns the park, and then another landowner which owns the rest of that leg of it. So we would only be dealing with one landowner in that area. And that concludes a lot of numbers and a lot of documents, but I'm more than willing to open and answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, and thank you for presenting tonight. Lloyd, you want to kick it off before we open it up for questions? You good? Okay. Commissioners, do you have any questions tonight? Commissioner Sanders?
I just have a few questions. I know you're connecting to some of the subdivision developments that are in District 3 right now, well, haven't been developed yet. So you stated that we're going to use a portion of their easement. So what is the cost of their land? Are they donating the land to us, or are we paying for the land?
So this is on the Denny Dobbs property?
And the Oaks?
Oh, in the Oaks. So, well, we haven't had well, we'll start with Denny Dobbs. It's my understanding, and Dwayne, do you want to come talk to that, or do you have the details on that?
I think they discussed that a meeting or two ago, and I think they disabled the so it's coming back to.
Well, that was,
Okay.
when, that was for the park area, but not for the trail. I know we're doing a trail was proposed by the development that was doing the actual trail.
It's my understanding is that the property that he wants to donate would go all the way down to the
Yeah.
river. So
Right.
therefore, if we owned it, then we would be eligible to put a trail system
Yeah.
through there without, as part of that, as part of our development if we wanted to. And I do believe he was proposing some development, like a parking area and like a wayside.
Right.
To be part of his donation,
Okay.
in-kind donation for that.
So what about the other property?
So the Oaks and the Cedar Shoals, we have not approached them yet because we wanted to make sure we put the master plan before you. What we're showing you is the actual development that was approved as part of their zoning package with the city of Porterdale, where they show green space being identified. To the extent that the master plan is agreed to and approved by you guys, then that gives us the opportunity to begin to sit down with all the landowners up and down Yellow River and ask for donated easements and so forth for it.
Okay. So if they don't donate it, we are going to be offer them a cost for their property. Am I correct?
That's right. Just like
Okay,
anybody,
that's
just like
what I
anywhere
thought.
else if they don't donate it, then our job would be to purchase the easements. through
My
that.
other question is, I see the master plan is a lot on certain areas. I don't see it connecting. I know it's coming through my district, which it's exciting, but I don't see it connecting all through the west side. Is there a reason why there's no connection? You got Denny Dobbs Park that has a major trail. So is there a reason why it has not been brought over to the west side area?
Just connectivity, just trying to, it's not, this master plan was really focusing up on the northern edge of if I go back to the very beginning of it.
Because the reason why I'm asking that question, that's one of the issues that we've been having on the west side, is that the west siders, I would say, have
Right.
to travel to enjoy any of the amenities. So with this park, with the trail, they're gonna have to travel to wherever the beginning of this trail is to even utilize it.
Go back down one more, yeah, right there. So this is a good example. So our focus area was primarily looking in the northern portion of the actual county, because we really stopped right there at the city of Porterdale with the actual Yellow River master plan. Now, that doesn't mean that if it was y'all's desire to do a southern leg of that we could not go ahead and start that process as well. We'd have to work on getting a cost from our consultant to help us with that. But we were focusing on this area just for this particular study itself. This isn't comprehensive for the entire county. It was just for along the Yellow River in this segment of it right now.
Well, just for a cohesiveness of the county, I think we need to look at all of the county, because that's been an issue on the west side, and to enjoy any of the amenities, they gotta drive to utilize those amenities, versus on various parts, it's closer for them, or they can just go out their houses and do whatever. So tax dollars are from everybody, so we need to look at cohesiveness and look at the entire county to see how we connect on the west side as well, so they can enjoy the trail just like those on the other side of Newton.
Yes, ma'am.
I think Mr. Kerr wanted to make a comment on.
I was just going to say that most likely the developments that are along there, a lot of times it's typical that they would dedicate a public access easement across their property if they have already set aside the green space for a trail or something. Usually that's what they'll do, which would allow the public use of the trail, and there wouldn't necessarily be any type of exchange of monies or anything for the access. Simply, it identifies the area so that it can be used by the public. It can also be, and it's also, of course, for the people who would live in the subdivision. And pardon me. But those are usually pretty easy to obtain before a project is developed.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Henderson.
Thank you. I know we were talking about Brown Bridge Road, and and I noticed that I had been looking at and talking to some of the citizens over around by Tree Lining, and there's a web of trails already in that particular subdivision that the stakeholders were telling me that they wanted me to look at maybe connecting them. So how would that connect? Do you know about trails over around Tree Line that goes?
So one of the things that we did, and it's actually in the packet, is the city of Covington has their own master plan.
Absolutely.
Of
I'm aware of
trails.
that, yes.
And what we're doing is we're connecting to their trail system. We have a leg, and we're trying to get down there to it. Back up real quick. I'll tell you what page it's on. There you go. So if you look at this right here, this is the actual master plan from the city. They call it the Covington Walks Master Plan. So what we're doing is, with the Cricket Frog connection that we're talking about, and also with connecting up to Turner Lake, that now connects our Yellow River trail system to their trail system, and then their trail system is going to be connecting like a spider web into their communities as well. And the same reason why we're doing it with the city of Oxford. Because they're applying for funds and grant funds to help expand and grow their trail systems as well. So we wanted to kind of do it in coordination with each other. Because quite honestly, if they're going to build trails within their community, we just want to connect to them and make sure that there's no kind of gaps between the two.
Correct. It was just a conversation that we were having with the residential line in Brown Bridge Road, which connect to District 3, was to connect those trails with the districts in the county, and to, and when I got in touch with the former property owner, which was Roger Singleton, and he was willing to donate about 63 acres of trails and stuff to the county that we could have got a while back. I thought indeed we had got it for our conversation, but we didn't. I guess we didn't follow up on it, and we wanted to connect those trails in phases. In fact, that's what I wanted. I wanted to talk to Recreation and maybe Thursday to Wayne and who may want to listen to me with the map of those trails, and connect those together. And typically what they ask for, and I'm hoping the same will go for the Oaks and others, is for a tax break of sort. Someone want a tax break. Said, what would the value be? And they get a tax break rather than we pay any money for any property that we may get. And typically it works out fine for all of us. But I was looking at that, and I thought it was a great idea. And I thought it was a way that we could connect. In fact, I want to invite Commissioner Sanders in first, and then Commissioner Mason to sit in with me on 2 separate meetings with Dwayne and Recreation, so we can look at the plan that we have. And he was very agreeable. In fact, he showed me where it started. Started within Tree Lining. There will be a bridge to go across within the 11 acres. And then where we had access to the actual property of 10 acres, we had hoped that we could at some point build a community center, and then use all the trails, and then connect to the other trails throughout Newton County. Excuse me. As far as the master plan that City of Covington have, they have been, Mr. Connors have been working, myself and Anthony Henderson, and we were looking at those trails and how it would connect up to Nelson Heights. There was the reason why we had were making, and asked the county to make improvements so that when they came to Nelson Heights, that it would come to a very nice park that would be very representative of the county and have amenities that we here in Newton County are used to anywhere in Newton County. And so we was hoping for that, and we also wanted that for tree lining. I was hoping that the at least 3 commissioners who connect up right there on Brown Beach Road, that piece of property, that we could work together to show the citizens of Newton County that we were all working together to make a very nice park for a community that really wanted a very nice park in their community. So I'm looking forward to working with Dwayne and looking at the plans and the commissioners so we can work, because we've been working hard for the past 2 or 3 weeks. And I'm just gonna close by this. It's 63 acres of parks, and I got the plan, the plaque, and everything. It goes through tree lining with branch. It runs through the piece of property that we own, and then goes down further. It'll be very nice for that community. And so I'm looking forward to working with that one, and hopefully we can connect all this together along with the other trails all over Newton County, District 2 and elsewhere, to make it very accessible to all the people.
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Cowan, I got you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Jeff, quick question. This is separate from the Rails to Trails Cricket Frog Trail?
That is correct. This is a separate project from those.
Okay. And my question is, I don't really understand exactly why that is, because I know from Turner Lake Road, across the road there, it goes directly to Porterdale.
Well, now we're connecting to Cricket Frog. We have a leg
Right.
in our plan that connects to Cricket Frog.
But what about the part of the old rail line that goes through the backside of Porterdale, through the old Sand Hill neighborhood, comes across, and it comes out downtown, right there in downtown? Is there any plans for that?
I believe if I go back to that particular plan, go right there. I believe you're talking about that little big leg that connects from where we're stopping right there at 81 over to the Cedar Shoals development. Because that's an abandoned railroad.
Yeah, there's an abandoned railroad through downtown Porterdale, and it comes up through that historic black neighborhood there of Sand Hill. And then it connects back on Turner Lake Road. Is there any plans for that?
I'll have to look into that.
Okay. And my other question would be, well, I'm just not one to do, everybody's working on their own deal. I'd rather everybody get together and kind of save the money and do something together. But let me ask you this. You got a lot of phases out there on this trail. What's your estimated time frame on getting through this? 30 years? Is this a 30-year long-term, 30-year plan?
Yeah, we're talking almost $40 million of construction costs, and then you've got
Correct. In today's money.
In today's monies, along with the land acquisition, easement acquisition, and soft
So if we
costs.
built it all today, it cost us $40 million.
At a minimum.
And with more, because you're going to have easements and land acquisition. But you only got $1 million, I guess, out of SPLOST to do something.
That's right, in this current phase.
So over a time frame, it's going to be about 40 years to get to that last point, wouldn't you think?
Well, I think the beauty of having a master plan is that now you have a tool that you can use to go out and seek federal and state and other types of grants that are out there. And it shows that you've gone through the due diligence to develop a very thorough, thought-out process and plan, and you have something to say. I know exactly how I'm going to connect this piece to that piece, and I just need you to help me with, matching funds of it and so forth.
Right.
And you just keep going down it. But yes, unless you were to, get a large commitment of funding, you're talking of, at least decades of work to get this done.
So let's say it takes 30 years.
Right.
And realistically, pricing and things like that, you're going to see about a 1/3 increase or more. So we're probably talking about $90,000 if not maybe 2/3 increase in pricing for the next generation. I won't be here by then, and JC won't be because he's older than me. He won't be here.
Well, but what it does allow us to do now is if we have a master plan, we can actively go out to landowners. Like, for instance, I don't want to name landowners, but there's some landowners along this trail, not the ones that we've talked about tonight, that have actively said, we're more than willing to donate an easement across our property to help this process. So I think what it gives the trail systems team an opportunity is a tool to go out and now start looking at getting easements from landowners who want to give that to us for free or very limited cost. And it also allows you to have a tool to work with future developers to say, as an entity, to say, hey, you're developing here, we have a trail system that we're committing a lot of money into, we want help us connect to that as part of your development. Like what the Oaks and the Cedar Shoals people have shown on their master plan as well. So I just want to be encouraging about it. Yeah, it could take a while to get this done, but because you've been astute enough to get ahead of the game and develop a plan, it gives staff and the team a lot of opportunity to work within the community, City of Covington and Oxford, to go jointly after monies with the state and the feds as well. So I mean, I just think it's a win-win across the board, but it's going to take work. It's going to take an effort to continue to grow this and move this and connect to other developments and parks. A good example is Spring Hill Park. As you know, we have a plan for a location of that. On that plan, we actually have an extension of a little trail connector that will connect down to Yellow River, because we're thinking about that now. We're saying, oh, okay, we want to connect to that. Any chance we get, either with our monies, with development monies, or with outside funding sources, we want to do that to help kind of grow and move this plan down the road.
So are we asking to start looking to acquire easements at this point, or are we just going to wait until we see what pops up? Or
what we're
is that going to be
asking,
part of our strategy, things that we have to put in our budget, or what?
so what we're asking for tonight, well, for out of you tonight is we're recommending as a team that this be accepted as the master plan. Understanding that a master plan isn't the end all. It
Right.
can grow, it can be modeled, whatever. But for tonight, we'd like to see this to be kind of the master plan, the starting point, and that we would like to be authorized to move forward with that phase one leg, which would be from Yellow River Park over to Highway 81 in the city of Porterdale. That was the #1 ranked and a leg that we can afford within the monies that we have allotted in our budget right now.
I guess I'm not, you know exactly where Yellow River Park is. Where's that at?
Basically, you see where, is this point? Basically, yeah, right there where he's got this, yeah, right in there. That whole, all the way down the river from highway, where the bridge is and the shoals are, from there, all the way up to where the river, where the river begins to turn. That whole area right there, down to the river, up to the, that yellow area is the Yellow River Park.
Where's it starting going at? Up there. I mean, where is Yellow River Park? That's what I'm trying to figure out. There's no park called Yellow River Park right now, is there? I don't know where it's at.
All of this area, right through here, all of that is the Yellow River Park.
I understand that. Where is that starting point up there where the green line ends? Right there. What is that?
That is the intersection.
That's what?
Washington Street. So basically, it's the intersection of Washington Street and 81. And that's where the abandoned railroad.
That's the old railroad.
That's right, that's the old railroad.
Okay, so I see what you're saying now. That's
Right.
the old railroad, so,
That's the old railroad, and that railroad would then, that abandoned railroad would be, it's my understanding, is that the Cedar Shoals developer would be willing to help us make that connection from their development up to that portion of it.
okay. And all that's along the old rail line, or most of it is.
Basically from that little red dot to where you see the Washington Street Wayside right there. Yes, sir. So if we can get from Yellow River Park to that park, then as Cedar Shows develops, and if they continue to do what the development says and shows, then they're dedicating green space and developing
Are we
internal
calling
trails.
Yellow River Park the park there in Porterdale? Is that the one by the river?
Yes, sir.
That's what you're talking about?
That's exactly. It has a little small loop trail in there
I
right
got you.
now.
I got you.
So we would start there and work our way north and east over to Washington Street.
Okay.
And that's only one landowner that we're dealing with, a family, that I'll leave it at that.
And that right there, that area right in there is the old Sand Hill area. It's a historic black neighborhood. It's on the National Historic Register.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I just didn't realize the name of it, but
Yeah,
you're
it's called
right.
Sand Hill. You know where it's at, don't you, Jason? Yeah. Will we have any adverse impact on that neighborhood there?
Because we're staying inside that abandoned railroad.
And it'll be access to them?
And but they'd have access to it, absolutely.
Okay, I'm good.
Thank you. I got Commissioner Mason, Commissioner Sanders, and then Commissioner Henderson.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Jeff, for putting together this master plan. I was looking at the map. If you go back to the Greenway Opportunities, the key map,
You can do it faster. To the key map. It shows all of them.
right. And I just wanted to get clarification.
Yep, right there. Go right there.
So this is an entire map, or a map of the entire, all of Newton County, correct?
No, sir.
It is not.
Go up one more. It's just that red block
Okay.
right there.
So just that portion.
Right.
So I know we're currently working on a trail at Denny Dobbs Park, which is a 1.1 mile trail that's going to be there. Is there any portion of this that would connect to that trail that's currently being built at Denny Dobbs Park?
So
Because I can't tell from looking at this particular map.
for us to be able to to answer that question, we would need to do another study, another master plan study that would pick up the southern end of the county. We were trying to be very frugal. I'm not sure I used my. We were trying to stay within our budget and make sure that we didn't use all of our money up for master planning, right? But so we were focusing it on what we call the highest density of population, which is that red box you see right there. It sounds like to me, Mr. Chairman, that I'm getting feedback that they would like to maybe look at the possibility of doing the rest of the southern portion of the county. If that's your desire, we can get a quote from our consultant to do that. It wouldn't be a lot of money, and that we could continue the process of working on that master plan while we were implementing this first phase on this leg of it. If that would be helpful to everybody.
Absolutely. I think that would be a great idea. I can concur with.
Then that would give us a way, I could answer then that way we could come up with a plan of how we could connect not only to Denny Dobbs, but to the southern areas of the property, of the Yellow River itself as it goes down to the southern edge of the county itself.
Sure. I think that would be an excellent idea. I do concur with Commissioner Sanders when it comes to the western side of the county. As a matter of fact, the reason why we are now working to do that trail at Denny Dobbs Park was per citizens' request for trails, I know there are several citizens in District 2 that travel all the way to DeKalb County just to go through their trail system. So they have been asking for trails. So I figured that would be a quick way to kind of get a trail before we start working towards this particular master plan. So I think that would be excellent if we can add it.
Brian, can you go to the Rockdale, find the Rockdale map for me real quick? I think it's, yeah, further down. Because I believe Commissioner Mason, so if you look at the southern side of the Rockdale County, that kind of ties in closer to Denny Dobbs into your district you're talking about. They do have plans, see in blue right there, bringing a trail down. So if we can connect there,
Yes.
then now we have a southern connection up to the path, and we have eventually a northern path.
Yes.
So now we're kind of attacking it from both north and south. And then we just got to kind of develop a plan to kind of get as far east as we can as well.
Yeah, I would definitely like to see that, if at all possible.
Okay, I can work on that. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Sanders, thank you.
Yeah, just two questions. How much are we expecting this to be grant funding versus county funding?
On the
The
total
whole-
development?
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
I don't know how to answer that. It's really, my experience has been that, it really depends on the cycles of how the monies are being distributed out there for different work. During different agencies. So I don't really have a good answer to what to tell you, but in most cases, you probably could say, if you were just blessed to get everything you wanted, you probably would be somewhere around the 40% that you could get grants on. But that would be hitting every single grant that you got, that you went after. And that's probably not going to happen.
So will this trail also be connecting, that our congressman has expected that we have money funded for the trail that's going to connect to Rockdale through District 3 to 80 million? I don't know if you remember
Yes,
that
ma'am.
grant. So are we going to connect that as well? Because we're supposed to connect with.
That is, if I go, Brian, come down to the railroad, keep going, one more. Yeah, right here. So this is one of those connections that we would
Okay.
do there. If you look at that little green area right there, that is a plot of land that has been designated for a future park. On the Rockdale side, it's going to be a park as well. So the idea is that we'll have a not a joint park, but we'll have a joint park area. And so if we can connect the trail there, then they'll connect it on over to the path eventually on their side. And that will give us that northern connection to path that I was talking about.
Okay. Thank you.
Now granted, they got to do their part, but that's part of the partnership.
Thank you. Commissioner Henderson.
Thank you. Going back to City of Covington and their park that's going to connect. When I received a map, and I think I got a map about 5 months ago, and when I think Mr. Connors and myself and Anthony, we were going through it, and I think we had a meeting at Lloyd's office too as well. I noticed that there was a few dots in it. And I wondered, I said, well, what could those dots be? And so as we talked about it for a while, those were homeless people who had, I guess when they did the map of photos, they showed where they lived in those particular areas out in the woods. So so what I'm saying is that we've got a homeless population that when we start going through woods, like over at our food depot back in the woods, before they live out in, the people live there, according to the businesses, because some have called me over and told me, so there's a lot of people living out here, and so they talk to us any kind of way. But anyway, those are people, and we need to help them as well. So is there a plan in place for our homeless that we do have? Some say we don't. I know we do, that we do have. As far as getting those people a place for them to stay rather than in the woods and alongside trails. And that was some of the concerns when we first started talking about trails that the citizens I know over in Newman and Mansfield way, what they had spoke about was the fact that anybody could be walking on trails and you would encounter somebody possibly was homeless. And so is there a security plan that while we doing all these trails set in place, is there more money for the officer of sheriff to have to somehow at some point patrol those areas as they are built? And you know, I was thinking, and you know, I think a little bit sometimes. You know, when we talked a little bit yesterday about 100 people out of say 1,000 being evicted, and so is one crime is too much for any. And so this my point I'm trying to make is that if once we start building all these trails through the woods and through people's homes and around their properties, that there's got to be some type of security, somebody to patrol those areas, rather than just building trails and be left up for things to happen. And I'm just concluding, I remember in the paper a year or two back, this young lady was missing, and she was found in the Yellow River, her remains. And so, you know, that's something that's kind of stuck to me, lodged in my brain. And so we got to have a security plan as well. We got to work with the officer sheriff, the city of Covington. That's the conversation that we've had with the city of Covington, myself and Anthony, was say, hey, we're going to build those trails, but we want to make sure that people are safe, and that our homeless people have somewhere for them to live so they can live their lives in a decent environment, but not in the woods. So just bear that in mind too.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Mason.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to add on to what Commissioner Henderson was talking about. I was recently re-educated on the terminology from homeless to unsheltered. And so when I recently found out that we had an unsheltered major issue, I actually did start an unsheltered job and housing initiative. And so we actually have 6 individuals right now that are going through that program as of September the 1st. They are going through Georgia Piedmont Technical College. They're getting trained either in 5 weeks or 15 weeks. They will automatically be placed on a job here in Newton County. So there's jobs already waiting for them to get through training. And then I'm also working with our housing authority to ensure that we find affordable housing. We know right now that housing product, there is a shortage. And so what we had considered doing by working with our Vice President of Economic Development at Georgia Piedmont Technical College, as well as our Director of the Housing Authority, we have considered, and of course this is slightly premature, but we've seen other communities throughout the United States. What they've done is they've actually come up with a campsite. And that campsite was there to help house those that may be unsheltered. So that is something that I'm actually researching, looking into right now, where we can address the unsheltered issue in Newton County. It is growing, and so we want to make sure that not only are we providing a place for those unsheltered to live, we also want to get them out of that cycle. I believe that is the main objective, is to get them the training that they need. If there's any other issues, substance abuse issues, if there's mental health issues, that we have individuals in place to address those concerns so that we can get them jobs, get them placed at a company here in Newton County, and get them affordable housing that they can actually afford. So I think if we can work on that simultaneously while we're doing these trails, we'll find out that we won't have a lot of our unsheltered being impacted by these trails, because we're already providing a solution to our unsheltered issue here in Newton County. And so I've already begun to work on that and working very diligently on that for our unsheltered, our underemployed, our unemployed. I'm currently working on that to resolve that particular matter here in Newton County. So just to kind of expound on that a little bit. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, sir. Guys, it's getting really close to the, hold on one second, it's getting really close to the end. I think we need to give some direction tonight. I know we can't take a vote tonight, but we can poll the board tonight. I think 3 commissioners had said that they want to expand the scope of this work to the west side of town, to the western part of the county, I'm sorry. And so I think we need to go ahead and do a straw poll on that decision. Commissioner Edwards, I know you just got here, so
my apologies, Mr. Chairman, and to the rest of the board for being late. I was detained, but I will have to abstain. I was not here for the presentation. I would love to say I'd love to do what the majority of the board wants to do. I think the trail system is a wonderful thing. I'll say this, in the beginning when the trail started, I wasn't against it, but I wasn't necessarily a fan. I've become a big fan in the last year or so, a couple of years actually. So I'm hoping that my fellow commissioners will see it that way too, but I'll have to abstain because I was not here. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
okay. Commissioner Mason, are you in favor of that?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I am.
All right. Commissioner Sanders, are you in favor of that? To the western. Commissioner Henderson, are you in favor of that?
Just want to make a brief comment. If we're going to do the trails the same as they would be in any other part of the county, because I know heard you mention, said, well, some part does not require concrete, and the other part will require asphalt. If we're going to do trails, let's do them all the same. Throughout, throughout the community, we want them all to be nice anywhere we do. And just to make a brief comment, what I wanted to say, and I didn't get the opportunity to say, it's about housing. It's about having a shelter where you can have homeless people are just going through some so-called bad luck, to have a place for them to live that's decent in order. Let's not put them in tents. Let's put them in a house and make sure they provide services, mental health services and other services that they may need in order to help them get back on their feet.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Cow, are you okay with that?
Yes, sir, I am, and I apologize. I kept saying Sand Hill. It's actually Rose Hill neighborhood.
Now that makes sense. I just, okay.
Thank you so much. Jeff, you need anything else from us?
Just, is everybody good with the phase 1 as well?
Yes, to make sure it extends into the western part of the county.
Right.
Yep.
What the phase 1 would be, I've got my mission to go ahead and get a proposal to do the rest of the southern western portion of this county. I can bring that back to you. What I was saying is everybody okay with the phase 1 that we're recommending is our first leg of project that we do with the SPLOST funds that we have now?
I think everybody was okay with. Everybody okay with that? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And you're
All
going to
right.
bring back phase 2 back before the board? Is that
Absolutely,
correct?
yes, sir.
All right, thank you, sir. Guys, it's 7:02. We just take about a 5-minute break. I seek a motion that we stand adjourned. It's a motion by Commissioner Mason, second by Commissioner Cowell. All in favor? All right, we stand adjourned. We'll be back in 5 minutes.